All right, let's see what we got here. Okay. Okay, looks good. All right, cool. All right, there's the queen, very nice. All right, looking good. All right, there's some bees, there's some, okay, cool. Very nice. All right, looks good. All right, let's check it out again. All right, bees look good. Cool. All right, very good. Nice. All right, there's the queen. Very nice. Very good. All right. Okay, very cool. Awesome. Okay. Look at the bees. Very good. Awesome. Look good. Bees look good. Very good. All right, very good. Very good. Oh my gosh. All right, there's the queen. Okay. There has got to be a better way than this. Good afternoon, beekeepers and bee enthusiasts. How you doing? It's another great day at the farm, and we're hanging out. It's wet outside. It's been raining for a while. I definitely got a little rain on me a little earlier, and I forgot my jacket back at the house. So I'm standing under some shelter now trying to get dry. In any case, we got a wonderful video for you today. And of course, today we'll be talking about practical beekeeping with minimal interaction. So these days, traditional beekeeping really teaches us that, you got to get in those hives. You got to be looking in there once a week, sometimes more frequently than that. You got to look at the bees. You got to look at the queen. You got to get in there, and you just got to be very invasive on your bees. And what a lot of people don't understand is all these inspections is a lot of work for the beekeeper, and it's very stressful for the honeybees. So today we want to teach you that basically you can get away with doing very little in the apiary, and you can still find success just fine. Honeybees can actually do a lot on their own, and we've got examples of that. We're going to talk all about it, and without further ado, let's break right into it. So what do we mean when we say minimal interaction in the apiary? Well, we know that Lazutin told us in his book, Keeping Bees with a Smile, which is one of my favorite beekeeping books. He told us that if we want to keep bees similar to how they live in nature, how they live in the trees, then we have got to get out of this system we have where we're going into the hives and inspecting them once a week, constantly checking on them, looking at the queen and just being very invasive on the colony. So, he told us, he said, bees that live in trees, they don't have that human interaction. They don't have people coming in, checking in the tree and all that stuff. They're pretty much left alone, and they thrive this way. And so if we want to do natural beekeeping, where we keep bees similar to how they stay in nature, then we need to keep bees in the way that says, okay, we're not going to be going into our hives once a week, doing all these inspections, checking out the bees and all that, because at the end of the day, those honeybees do not want you in their hive, okay? Get it out of your brain that human bees, or honeybees, have this magical relationship with human beings, and that they love humans and all that stuff. If they had it their way, you would never be near that hive, and they would be completely left alone, because they have a mission. They have to go out, they have to make brood, they have to collect pollen and nectar, they have to produce honey to survive the winter. They have to do all these things, and you coming in and looking at the hive all the time and doing 1,000 inspections throughout the year is very distracting for them, and they don't like it, and it's very stressful. So we want to keep bees in a way that basically says, all right, what if we just cut out, 90% of those inspections, kept it to a very small amount, and as Lazutin says in Keeping Bees with a Smile, we only go into the hive when absolutely necessary. So if we see that there's an issue with the hive, there's a problem, then, maybe the hive is falling apart or anything like that, then that's a reason maybe to check it out. Maybe we need to do a transfer of the bees. But, at the end of the day, we can get away with doing very little as far as inspections. We don't need to do, an inspection every week. In fact, in our apiary, for most of our hives, we don't do hardly any inspections. And sometimes we'll do like one inspection or two just to kind of see the bees and, interact with them a little bit. But for the most part, I don't like bugging them at all, because I like them to just sit there, concentrate on what they're doing, focus on building their honey stores and being healthy and all that good stuff. And we strongly believe that if humans are less invasive on them, then they're actually a lot healthier and they end up doing a lot better. So how do I know minimal interaction works in the apiary? Well, if you've ever seen our videos where I hike to the top of the ridge and I go through the woods and I hike up the mountain and I totally exhaust myself, and I get to the very end and there's that beautiful white hive with the awesome gable roof on top of it. In that hive lives a colony that has been there for about 2 years now. We caught them back in 2022. A swarm just moved into the hive. And since then, since that time, I have not done anything to that colony. I haven't gone and inspected them. I haven't put in honey frames. I haven't extracted honey frames. Nothing has happened to those bees. No treatments, no pollen patties, no sugar water, no weekly visits, nothing. And those bees have sat there and done just fine. And it's been pretty amazing, actually, because what we hear a lot in traditional beekeeping is if you're not constantly interacting with your bees, inspecting them, doing all kinds of crazy stuff to those colonies, your bees are going to die. And that's what we hear. But that statement is false. Bees are actually very hardy and they can survive on their own with, zero human interaction. And those bees have been doing great. Now, our bees that we keep here in the apiary, I will go in, I'll put honey frames in the spring, maybe do an inspection in the spring, but a lot of times not. Keep the bees, and in the fall, pull the honey frames out, winterize the hive, and then that's basically about it. And it's very minimal interaction. And as Lizutin said in Keeping Bees with a Smile, I'm only going into those hives when absolutely necessary. Maybe there's an issue with the hive itself or something going on, but we are letting nature take its course. Now, remember, I tell everybody we're natural beekeepers, and for those that don't know what that is, what we say is we try to keep bees similar to how they live out in nature. Now, part of that is the whole mechanic of survival of the fittest. So we have our colonies that are strong, and we let them do their thing. They do just fine. And then the weaker colonies, if they have weak genetics, if they can't survive disease or any of that, we let the bees perish. And some people would say that's cruelty and all that. Colonies, if they can't sustain themselves, it doesn't matter how much you work those bees, they are going to die at some point regardless. So, we got to get this out of our head that our bees are totally dependent on us, and we need to be getting in there and doing everything we can to keep that colony alive. If the colony is going to perish, it's going to happen, and there's not much you can do to keep it from happening, because weak genetics, they don't just stay briefly. They stick with a colony if they're a parent with a colony. So, you just got to realize that bees, they're going to do what they're going to do, and if they're strong and they survive, that's great. But if they perish, then that's just a part of nature, and that's what's going to happen, because there's no way that we can try to expect 100% survival in our apiaries, because if honeybees had 100% survival, then bees would take over the world and it would be a huge mess. So it is only natural that we would expect that a lot of those bee colonies would perish, and that's just how it works at the end of the day. So I'm not telling you to never do inspections, okay? Inspections are good because it allows you to get knowledgeable with your bees, to see the inner workings of a colony, and just check them out. And a lot of times that can be a lot of fun. What I am telling you is, see what you can do to get away with doing a lot less, okay? Remember, less is more with beekeeping. And, I know a lot of people give advice out there that you need to be doing 1,000 things to those colonies. You need to be getting in and checking them out and doing all those frequent inspections. But it is our sincere opinion that a lot of that stuff is really not necessary. And we're not just saying that because it's what we think. We have the evidence to back it up. We have colonies that have done just fine without any human interaction. And all of our colonies do perfectly fine with very little human interaction. So, it's been a lot more fun for our family. We've definitely enjoyed it more. It's because those frequent inspections, it's a lot of work. Okay, it's a lot of work to do all that stuff, And at the end of the day, if you don't have to do all that stuff, and if your bees can still be successful, then why do you think you need to get in those hives and just be checking them out all the time? You know, take a step back, learn to just watch the bees and see how they act, and it can be a lot more fun that way. And we've definitely enjoyed a lot more. So that about wraps up our video. Again, check out our Patreon, become a supporter. I'm going to leave a link in the description. And that about wraps it up. And until next time, we'll see you soon.